So in today's video, I'll be discussing and also inserting clips of my peptide morning skincare routine. This is part 3 of my full skincare routine, so I'll link videos 1 and 2 below. Video 4 I haven't filmed yet. Video 1 went over my exfoliating, video 2 was about retinoids, and they both go in a little bit more detail, so hopefully this video will be a little bit shorter. Although I am calling this video and this routine my peptide routine, really it's kind of a recovery day. These are the steps I would follow the day after retinoids. So although I do try and seek out peptides, the real concept is about hydration and nourishment. Anyway, let me get straight into the video, and I do always start with cleansing in the morning. I have mentioned in many previous videos that I'm not the type of person that can get away with just rinsing my skin. If you can, then great, but I just feel icky about it, so I definitely need to cleanse properly. 9 times out of 10, I'm using Build Skincare Bee Wash, which is my all-time favorite cleanser. I love creamy and silky feeling cleansers, but a lot of them have like an oil component to them, so they end up depositing like residue on my skin. Bee Wash is a little bit deceptive because it feels very silky and creamy, but it's actually a microfoam, and that means it's able to just cleanse my skin really effectively. It's super conditioning because it also has sugar alcohols in it for a lot of hydration, but there's no film, so it's just a clean, clear feeling base. However, in this particular video, and because I wanted to show off some of the other cleansers in rotation, every once in a while, instead of using Bee Wash, I'll throw in a treatment cleanser. And what I mean by treatment cleanser is that it's the type of cleanser that has a texture that is designed to be left on and contains a few extra ingredients that maybe your skin could benefit from being left on the skin for a little while longer. Not too long, like I'm literally talking a few minutes, just kind of while I get ready for a shower basically, and then I'll actually hop in the shower to rinse it off. I've absolutely loved using the Cipher Skincare Cloud Melt. This is a gel oil hybrid, and it has both clarifying properties but also hydrating properties. Cipher have done some reformulation with this, so if you've used it in the past, it used to have quite a medicinal scent to it, but they have changed it now, so the scent is much more pleasant, sort of like a strawberry oil crossed with vanilla scent. The actual hydrating effect of this cleanser is designed to last through cleansing as well, so it's supposed to be a bit more clingy to the skin without a noticeable residue. The nice thing is that the texture of this is actually a little bit like a gel mask, so it's actually very natural feeling to leave it on your skin. It's not the type of thing that you feel like you need to rush to rinse off. The ingredients are truly so nice, it is actually like using a mask. Cloud Melt includes things like salicylic acid, zinc PCA, and even ectoin. And interestingly, both Cloud Melt and Bee Wash use the same key surfactant, and that's sodium methyl cocoa taurate. So I think there's just something about this surfactant that really agrees with my skin and lends itself to this sort of creamy cleansing experience. So yeah, as I said a moment ago, I'll try leave this cleanser on my skin for a few minutes, basically just let it sit there. Then I'll hop in the shower, rinse it off, do the rest of my shower routine. And then, as I've discussed in my previous videos, basically as soon as I step out of the shower, I'll quickly apply a layer of bee gel. This is a hydrating serum, but it almost breaks on the skin like a toner, so it feels really lightweight. And I just find that it protects my skin while it's in a vulnerable state, just while I'm losing time kind of doing my body care routine. And I often do, and I often shave my face in the morning as well, so I'm losing a good 5 to 10 minutes in that area without actually having any moisturization in my skin. So that way bee gel is just this light cushion, giving me some extra play time to not have to rush to do everything else. After this is done, I'll then move on to essence, and I do have a lot of essences in rotation, so I wouldn't say that I'm like 100% loyal to anyone in particular. In today's video, I'm using the SK2 facial treatment essence, which is a long-standing favorite. I really do feel like this essence hydrates really well and like in a fairly like deep way, so it doesn't feel too surface level. But I also regularly use the Chanel Le Lift lotion, Gothamista essence, and even the La Mer as well. Essence is for sure a non-negotiable step for me. I absolutely love using them. It's probably my favorite category in skincare. It's just the true prep step, and I feel like everything else just sits nicely and your skin feels so comfortable and conditioned. In today's routine video, I actually ended up using a second essence, which is not uncommon for me. Usually if I use a watery essence, then I'm very comfortable to go in with a milky toner as well. But when I do this 2-step essence process, usually the second essence will have a little bit more of like a serum property to it. In this case, I'm using the Chanel Eclat Premier Bright Milky essence, and the consistency of this is more lotion-like, but then has a skin break, so it feels quite watery and refreshing once applied. I kind of consider this product to be like more of a half step, so although yes, it would be more like an essence, it's just a little bit more substantial feeling, and it's an easy and sneaky way to add niacinamide into my routine without having like a separate niacinamide serum. After the Jewel Essences, I'll move on to a barrier repair serum. And I sort of consider this to be like an anti-redness product essentially, or like anti-inflammation generally. Lately, I've been loving the Rationale Serum number 5, the milk concentrate. They have 2 number 5 serums, so I'm specifically talking about the Milky version. This is a super gentle, nourishing, skin-soothing serum. I do have mild rosacea, so I try and use these sorts of products just to help control some of the symptoms and signs of that. This Rationale serum is actually quite interesting with the combination of ingredients. It contains pyroxenolamine, which is like an anti-dandruff ingredient, but is known to help with rosacea, and also a tea tree leaf extract, which I also believe is known to help with rosacea. So yeah, it's just a really cool, interesting combination of things that I don't see around too often. After my barrier serum, I'll then move on to an eye gel. In today's video, I'm using the number 1 de Chanel eye serum. This is really cooling and refreshing, so if you have tired eyes, it's a great one to use, and it just has the absolute best applicator. I also really love the number 1 de Chanel serum, or like the general face serum. So sometimes I'll use the Chanel instead of the Rationale, sometimes I'll use them together. It just sort of depends on my mood. Now we move on to, I guess you could say, the main event, which is the peptide step. I'm currently using the Geek & Gorgeous Power Peptides. This is a really affordable pro-collagen serum, and it has so many of the peptides that I want to see in a product, so I love that they've been combined together. This features Matrixyl 3000 and Matrixyl Syntha 6, which I would say are the gold standard of peptides. Plus it also has encapsulated copper peptides, amongst a bunch of other things. In a perfect world, I probably would have liked to have seen them include Argireline as well, because I consider both Matrixyl and Argireline to be like the gold standard anti-aging peptides. But considering how affordable this is, I definitely can't complain. Before this, I was using the Medicate Liquid Peptides Advanced MP, which is a super great serum and actually contains mini proteins, which is maybe a slightly newer or novel version of peptides. So I loved integrating that serum too. It's just that one is a little bit more expensive, so I think it's nice to have a balance of maybe rotate through one affordable one and then move back to the more expensive one and that kind of thing. And that way it just means that skincare isn't absorbing every dollar of my income. I do tend to rotate peptide serums quite frequently because a lot of these brands are using the same trade names, but I've definitely been enjoying these more milky textures, and the Geek & Gorgeous and the Medicate both have more of a milkier texture to them. The other peptide serum that I absolutely love is the Naturium Multi-Peptide Advanced Serum. The Naturium one actually focuses on Argireline, or specifically Argireline amplified. That also has encapsulated copper and ferulic acid. So between the Geek & Gorgeous serum and the Naturium, it's really ticking all the boxes of things that I'm looking for. And in the background, which I'm sure you would have seen in the other videos, I also tend to rotate in Deliverance quite frequently. And Deliverance actually contains Matrixyl Morphomics, which is one of the newer versions of the Matrixyl family of peptides. So between these products, the kind of trifecta of them, I'm getting all of the key peptides that I want in my routine. I also often use peptides with my retinoids, so you would have probably seen in my evening routine that I still have peptides going on there, so I just try and include them as much as possible wherever I can. In the evening, I just tend to go a little bit richer, and the Sweet Chemistry products have been really great for that. Their new Hydra Serum is so good, so I've loved combining that with a retinoid in the night. All of these peptide names that I've mentioned throughout this video, they do mainly target sort of signs of aging, so like lines and wrinkles, collagen, elastin, all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, there's not one miracle peptide, so I can't sit here and tell you the best one. I honestly think a variety of them is the best action, because ultimately things in the skin happen for a lot of different reasons, and skincare ingredients have a lot of different mechanisms of action. So as much as you can get in terms of a functional serum where they're using the correct amount, then that's great. And I think you just want to load it into your skin as much as you can. Now, after this many essence and serum steps, my skin is actually already quite plumped, moisturized and nourished. But when I apply these products, I do try and work in very thin layers, so there's not too much textural competition between the products. And that way my skin also still feels quite light and not weighed down. We're almost at the end, and I tend to finish nearly all of my morning routines with my favorite all-time moisturizer, which is Build Skincare B Cream. I just love it so much because it's the most compatible moisturizer I've ever used. It never pills with anything. I can use whatever sunscreen I want with it, including mineral sunscreens. I can wear 10 layers under it, 10 layers over it, and B Cream just works. It's like a hug for the skin. It's very moisturizing, but still feels lightweight. So yeah, I've never come across anything like it. This is definitely my favorite. For those of you with like extremely dry skin, B Cream is not overly emollient, so the whole concept behind the product is that it's quite a, balanced, lightweight leaning cream. So if you love the feeling of an oily, rich texture, that's not what bee cream is, just mentioning that. Moving on to the sunscreen step, and I'm using my long-standing favorite, which is Everyday Mineral Mousse. This is a zinc oxide based sunscreen, but it does have chemical boosters, which I like to see, and it offers a really soft, natural, matte leaning finish. The texture is a lot like a pore filling primer, and I actually do think it fills in pores really well. So it has a really instant skin smoothing and skin softening effect. I know not everybody loves these moussey textures, and it can feel a little bit oily upon initial application, but it actually sets down to a really lightweight feel. Because I personally prefer a non-shiny finish in the morning, although Everyday Mineral Mousse is one of the lighter, more matte leaning sunscreens, it still has like a subtle glow to it if left by itself. So I always actually like to finish off my morning routine with a light dusting of powder. Because Mineral Mousse specifically has a primer-like texture, it actually holds and grips onto powder really well and lasts all day. I do get a tiny bit shiny, but we're talking like 5-6 hours later, so there's no product in the world that would look exactly the same at the start of the day as it does later, especially sunscreen. So that's why I love Mineral Mousse so much. It's just so consistent and easy to use without allowing my oils to break it down too. I'm currently using the Chanel Loose powder, which is one of my favorites. This does have quite a bit of pigment to it, so although it's technically translucent and it's definitely not a foundation, it does deposit some sort of color, tone, balancing, evening, to the skin. So there's like a tiny little bit of coverage. In fact, the combination of Mineral Mousse, which also has translucent pigments in it, with Chanel's translucent powder, these two together actually give the skin a little bit of like a no makeup effect. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to use makeup and doesn't want to mess around with finding foundation matches and so on, getting a sunscreen that has a bit of a tint to it with a powder actually ends up working really well. And that concludes my morning peptide routine crossed with skin barrier repair. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.